When we talk about Marvel video games today, the conversation usually centers around Marvel's Spider-Man from Insomniac or Crystal Dynamics' Marvel Avengers. But there's one title that often slips through the cracks, not because it was bad, but because it never had the chance to prove itself. Back in 2010, THQ began on working on an Avengers game meant to release alongside the first MCU Avengers film in 2012. Yet this wasn't your typical rushed tie-in. Instead, what the developers were building was a bold, original experience that could have set a new standard for superhero games. Sadly, it was cancelled before it ever saw the light of day. Today, when the fans revisit the details of the lost project, it becomes clear this game was massively underrated and deserves far more recognition than it gets. At a time when most superhero games relied on third-person action adventure formulas, THQ decided to break convention. Their Avengers game would be first-person, placing players directly in the boots of Earth's mightiest heroes. This wasn't a gimmick, it was a design choice to make the player feel the scale, power, and perspective of being an Avenger. Imagine looking through Iron Man's helmet as you take off into the sky, or feeling the raw impact of Hulk's punches from a first-person view. This level of immersion was unheard of in superhero gaming at the time. Now, each character had a unique playstyle. Iron Man, flight, repulsor blasts, and defensive energy shields. Captain America, agile combat with these shields used both defensively and offensively. Hulk, pure melee devastation with unmatched strength. Thor, thunder and lightning, mixing melee with ranged godlike powers. Now, by tying the mechanics directly to perspective, THQ's Avengers was going to do what Marvel games had done before. Make players be the heroes, not just control them. Long before Destiny, Overwatch, or Crystal Dynamics' Marvel Avengers, THQ was building a game that emphasized co-op synergy above all else. It was designed around 4-player online and offline co-op, with gameplay systems meant to make teamwork essential. One hero could set up an enemy for another to finish. For example, Thor could stun an enemy with lightning, and Captain America could smash through them with his shield. Now, there were also temporary buffs that supported the whole team. For example, Iron Man could create an energy barrier, while Hulk could amplify damage output. Now, performing synchronized attacks rewarded players with experience points, unlocking new abilities, and encouraging repeated team play. This wasn't just a button smasher. It was about communication, strategy, and feeling like a part of a real squad. In many ways, it foreshadows mechanics that would only become popular years later in co-op shooters and hero-based games. Instead of rehashing the first Avengers film, THQ's game opted for something much more ambitious, an adaptation of Marvel's Secret Invasion storyline. This meant players weren't just fighting faceless goons, they were battling Skrulls, shape-shifting aliens capable of imitating the powers of Earth's greatest heroes. The choice of Skrulls as enemies opened up endless creative possibilities. Fighting a Skrull version of Iron Man with corrupted repulsor powers, facing Skrull imitations of the Fantastic Four, the X-Men, or even fellow Avengers. Boss fights against iconic Skrull leaders like Veronica, or giant super Skrulls with combined abilities. It was the perfect way to justify diverse enemy types while staying true to Marvel lore. The story could have blended cinematic action with deep comic roots, something modern Marvel games are still striving to balance. On paper, this game had everything going for it. It was ambitious, original, and set to launch alongside the MCU's biggest movie to date. But reality had other plans. THQ, the publisher, was collapsing financially by 2011. Costly flops like Homefront and the U-Draw tablet had drained resources. And the Australian studio developing the Avengers faced rising costs. Despite the game's potential, Marvel declined to fund it further, and THQ Studio Australia was shut down. Some of the game's ideas lived on Ubisoft's Marvel Avengers Battle for Earth, but the Connect UE spin-off was a shallow shadow of what THQ envisioned, the true Avengers game that might have refined superhero gaming was lost. In a world where superhero games are finally being taken seriously, it's important to remember the ones that paved the way, even the ones that never got to exist. THQ's Avengers might not have made it to the store shelves, but it remains one of the most underrated lost gems in the history of Marvel gaming.